We were talking about the analogy between the conductor and the orchestra.
The ant hive and the brain.
The queen is the conductor and the hive is the orchestra. The body is the orchestra and the brain is the conductor. The DNA is the conductor. The biochemistry of the cells and the organism is the orchestra. There seems to be a concentration of intelligence in complex systems. Like we were saying before, it looks like the logical circuits, whether they are embedded in gold, like on a computer board, or in nucleotides, like in DNA, or a sequence of ionic bonds, like they are in metabolism, or pheromones and hormones and scents, would be the circuitry driving most of the behavior of an ant hive or a bear. It looks like they are under a selective pressure to be able to respond in time for the events that they are governing. A termite queen doesn't have to react fast enough to do automated trading, but it has to be faster than a redwood because the events that it deals with happen on a different time scale than a plant's. If you want to run through a lot of, let's call it computation that leads to decisions and to transmission of decisions that lead to action, and you want to do it quickly, it helps for the different components of the machine that is making the decisions to be close together. Just makes things faster. That's why I think that there's a selective pressure that drives an imperative for the concentration of intelligence in complex systems. When you analyze a system and you see the parts of the system that are interacting with the environment and the part of the system that makes the decision for the rest of the system on how to interact with the environment, we often call the part that is busy making decisions and not acting the brain. In order to make decisions fast enough, it helps for the brain to be concentrated in one spot. That's all I'm saying. If you take this observation into the realms of social and cultural evolution, and you see places like the Library of Alexandria spontaneously emerging as a center of knowledge, memory, and wisdom, and possibly prime consultant to decision-making in the seats of power, you'll see that here again is a place in Egypt which concentrates knowledge from most of the world that was known to humanity at the time, that stores and distributes knowledge about a part of the world that is much, 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 much larger than where the papyrus scrolls are actually kept. And this is a complex system which is not a body or a hive, it's an entire civilization. And again, you see that knowledge has this tendency to clump together, which is fascinating. There's no particle or force that is attributed with describing this concentration of information.
So we have this brain and it's concentrated in one place and we understand the advantages. Does that fact actually relate to our question? I mean, why people like psychoactives?
I think I was alluding to the fact that the brain is kind of like an orphanage. The new kids joining the orphanage keep getting older. So the orphanage has like a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and then as they become 5 years old, suddenly a 7-year-old joins the orphanage and kind of takes control over the already existing members of the orphanage and says, okay, I'm the newest, but I'm also the biggest one here. And now things are going to run by my rules. And that happens like for a year or two. And then when everybody's 8, a 9-year-old joins the orphanage and takes control. And everything goes by the 9-year-old's rules. And then when everybody's 10, a 12-year-old joins the orphanage and the rules change again. And as new systems evolve and are slapped onto the already existing systems of the brain, they have to work with what they already have. So they take the good and whatever doesn't fit their agenda, they control. I'm telling you that as society got more complex and as the human animal became more entwined with society around it, we used to be independent when we were in our early teens, then it became late teens, then it became 20s, 30s. Now I don't think we're ever independent at any point. We can't really go and live off the grid. Even as adults, we are tethered to the economy, to, basic resources, sewage, clothing, power, information. We cannot unlink ourselves from society's umbilical cord. The frontal lobes, it's pretty clear that they evolved in order to make us better actors on the social stage.
Do the frontal lobes is something only humans have?
Humans' frontal lobes are much larger than chimps or gorillas or any other apes. It's that forehead that goes up and not back. That's our hallmark as the stupid wise apes that we are. And they allow for us to play a much more nuanced social role than other apes. And you can see that in how long it takes for a child to mature and how much of that maturity process is involved in imitating, pondering others, learning how to behave in society, practicing, trying out the ropes, and then continuing to behave in society for the rest of our lives. It's very clear from the advent of cities and what seems to be the extension of human longevity that these are things that can only happen in the context of large, complex societies. You can't live beyond 100 years old without a society supporting you. Not a human. Maybe a tree can, but a human cannot.